She served as the first cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Devolution, resigned in search of lighter duties, vied for the governorship of Kirinyaga County and won, and is currently serving her second term. She has been the chair of the Council of Governors for 2 terms. Anne Waiguru sits down with me to take stock of the state of devolution, her future political ambitions, and her take on national politics.
All right, I want us to start with the issue to do with devolution. It has been 11 years since devolution. You've served as governor for 2 terms right now. Are we on the right trajectory when it comes to devolution in the country?
Thank you, Brian, for this opportunity for the interview at the end of the year. Now, are we on the right trajectory? I think we've made strides. I think having 12 years since we started devolution, I think we've made progress. Is it where we were hoping to be? No. I think there's still a lot that needs to be done or should have been done by now. But generally we can say that from the framers of the Constitution that we are in the right trajectory. We are growing. Devolution has continued to address challenges that had been seen there before, which is the access to service delivery. The decision why Kenyans decided to change their constitution and ensure that we have devolution and they have devolved functions is because they had perceived that services were very far from Mwananchi. And I think as far as I'm concerned that we have made strides to ensure that services are closer to the people.
Have we devolved corruption? As far as we are on the right trajectory, there's still cases of corruption in the counties? I
think that's a cliche that's constantly used in the media. But I would say that challenges of bad governance are in every sphere of our society. They're in private sector, they're in civil society, to some extent even some institutions of higher learning in the national government, and it's not unique to counties. The reason those institutions exist is that they're supposed to do their work to ensure that we are advocating and advancing good governance. And where there are challenges of corruption in specific institutions, be they at national level, private sector or county governments, they ought to be addressed by the relevant institutions. So no, I don't necessarily think that that issue is a valid issue and unique only to devolved functions.
So let's talk about 12 years we've come in, but there's still challenges that are facing devolved units. What would you say that is?
The biggest, I think, challenge that affects devolved units is the issue of resources, timely disbursement of resources. Budgets are allocated, the equitable shares are allocated, but it never comes as expected. The Constitution and the law says that resources for every month should have arrived by around the 15th of the next month. So if, for example, resources for July should actually be there by August, but you find sometimes we have time lapses of up to 3 months. That has been a major challenge, because what does that do? It causes disruptions of public service. Devolved functions such as healthcare, you get delayed salaries for medical workers. Agricultural extension officers are not paid on time. We cannot therefore buy drugs on time, and sometimes you'll find shortages of drugs in our hospitals. So one of our biggest challenge has been the issue of timely disbursement of resources. Okay. The second issue is also the adequacy of those resources. If you looked at the resources that we had hoped to get when we look at the functions that have been devolved, we were starting at about 425 billion. And after negotiations, we came down to 400 billion. But because of the challenges that are there currently at the national level, we've ended up with a little less than 390. So that will also affect the quality of service delivery. We are supposed to, for example, give salary increments annually, and that will be a challenge. If you look across the board, you will notice that the country has changed for the better. Many towns and small municipalities that were on their deathbed have woken up. There is a vibrant economy across the country driven by devolution. There is growth in these towns. There is increased productivity in terms of both the output from people who are maybe farmers or fishermen, and also productivity even within the public sector. So overall, I would say that devolution is doing well and is on the right trajectory.
Well, as far as these challenges are concerned, are these things that you feel like we can actually get to address them and get away from that, so that we actually, it gets to serve the purpose that it was actually intended for?
The fact that there are challenges, it doesn't mean that we are not serving the purpose. And there is no time in society you won't have challenges. You have challenges everywhere. You have challenges even in our own homes. It doesn't mean that the family doesn't function because you have challenges. The fact that devolution is facing challenges doesn't mean it doesn't function. It could function better. And the reason why we elect leaders every 5 years, the reason that we have continuously advocating for improved service delivery is because constantly in society things are changing. We're not in a static society. Society is dynamic. And as we progress, as we move, as we grow, challenges will come, and the responsibility of those who are in public service and in leadership is to adjust to the changing dynamics of our society and ensure that we address the challenges that come our way.
All right, when you took over as the chair for the COG, initially the counties were getting 370. By the time you're leaving office, we had gotten to 385, apart from the 2 billion that we actually added recently. Now it's 387. What would you attribute this to, and what was your initial projection by the time you are leaving this particular post, that you had actually said, by the time I'm leaving, I want us to have this particular allocation? Actually,
the issue is not so much about a specific figure, because that figure is actually determined by the services that you need to offer. And just like in the national government, you would say that these are the projects that we want to do, and this is what it would cost. And so when the resources come, you allocate according to priorities. And so we are at 387. It is not ideal, but we have to work with that. We hope that in the next year, the economy improving, revenue that is collected nationally increases, and therefore allocation to county governments also increase. In the last summit meeting that we had with His Excellency the President, the national government has now facilitated through IGTRC the gazettement of all the devolved functions. We hope that those will come with the attendant resources, and if that happens, then we hope to see improved service delivery. I hope that in the next year we will hit the 400 billion mark for across the counties, so that counties can be able to deliver services as expected by Kenyan people.
Let's talk about revenue collection, especially on-source revenue when it comes to matters county governments. I was speaking to some stakeholders, and they say that the counties have a possibility and even potential to be able to collect close to 800 and something billion shillings. I don't know from where you sit and what you've been able to experience, if that is actually the case, and why are we not there?
The same challenges that face the national government. One of our biggest challenges right now is the risk with increasing in taxation. Yes, if somebody makes an analysis, they will say you can collect this much money, but do the people want to be taxed to that extent? That is a question, because where would you be collecting those taxes from? You would have to collect them from people, and already as they are, people are saying that we are overtaxed. So even as county governments, we have to be cognizant of that fact. So where you would increase your tax revenue, even in Kirinyaga, there are certain places we end up reducing because the public is saying that this is a bit too much for us to bear. So analysts can sit down and say you can collect up to this much. But that is determined by very many factors. It is determined by our level of economic growth as a country. It is determined by the level of incomes. People like us who come from mostly agrarian societies and focus mostly on agriculture, it will be determined by many things. If you want to tax in the agricultural sector, it will be dependent even on on how the weather was that year and the level of productivity that has been actualized in that county. So you would have to adjust levels of taxations based on our current realities. Yes, the ideal would be to collect up to whatever is estimated as 800, but whether that's a reality that you can achieve in 1 year or in a short term, no, but you keep striving to get as much as possible within the current economic situation in the country.
Okay, let's touch a little bit on the health sector. It has been, right now we were actually looking, before it was actually called off, the possibility of a strike, and KMPDU had actually suggested that, the health, which is a devolved function, should actually be taken back to the national government. What do you say to this? I
think I've said this before, even when I was chair. There is a reason we pass constitutions, and the constitution is very clear that health is a devolved function. And so it has to remain as a devolved function up until the time you change that constitution. So they may not, for one reason or other, be happy with one thing or other in the health sector, but as far as I'm concerned, the constitution is clear that the health function is devolved, and the health function will remain devolved for as long as we have the current constitution.
Let me touch on the state of the county that you actually lead. You're coming to an end in the, this is you're serving your second term, and you could be but when you get to 2027, that will be done for you. What would you say has been the state of Kirinyaga County ever since you took office and right now that you're actually exiting?
In Kirinyaga County, we say the work speaks for itself. When I ran for re-election, I ran with the slogan, Kazi Yonge, as in Wira Wadye. And if you ask the Kirinyaga people, if you look at the ratings of my performance, way above 80% tells you that they feel that Kirinyaga has performed and we have done what it is that we promised our people, which is actually the most important thing when it comes to leadership and elected leadership. What is it that you promised that you will do, and have you done it? If you look at the state of the Kirinyaga County right now, when I came in and now, there's a huge difference. Now,
I want to wind up, but I can't fail to ask you this, because you are a politician and we are in a very political, heated kind of moment, season at the moment. Even before we get to 2027, right now, you look at the political scene, it feels like we're actually campaigning for elections in 2027. Yesterday, we had reshuffles when it comes to the cabinet, to some extent trying to balance different regions based on what has been happening in the recent days. What would you say this is when you look at it, especially with the latest additions to the cabinet?
Let me say that the president has the prerogative to organize his cabinet to best serve the people of Kenya. And he has an eyes, bird's view of what the country looks like. He knows where his cabinet has been performing and where it hasn't been. And I think he has made that informed decision because he knew that he needed to strengthen the areas where he has had Kenyans complaining about. And I think it's a good thing that he has made the strategic decisions that he has. Even at my level, at governor level in Kirinyaga County, I make changes from time to time. I reshuffle my ministers to offer better service delivery. Sometimes you think that if you appoint a certain individual, they will do to a certain expectations, and after time you realize that they either are incapacitated one way or another, and you have to make the changes that you need to make so that you can continue to offer the services that you promise people and to deliver on your promises. So I think the president did that in good faith, and I am very hopeful that things will improve for the better.
Okay, we hope so too. Governor Anne Waiguru, what's next for Governor Anne Waiguru? Because in most cases we've seen leaders, somebody was a governor, then after their term elapses, they return to vie for the senatorial seat. We've seen others being going for the different posts as far as cabinet is concerned. You've been fronted by different leaders across the country, and also during the G7, that you should actually eye something higher. So in 2027, after Kirinyaga, what's next for you?
Let me say that it's a bit early to talk about 2027 in that way. It's 3 years from now. Right now, No, I am not campaigning personally. I'm focused on service delivery. I am working very hard for Kirinyaga people. My work speaks for itself. In Kirinyaga, we are saying kazi yonge, wera warie. And when the time of election comes, thereabout around 2026, that decision will be made based on the circumstances that will have prevailed then. 2 years is a very long time. Many things will change. You can see already in 6 months things are changing. So the only thing I can assure the people of Kenya, first of all, because of the honor bestowed on me by the Kirinyaga people, but Kenyans at large, because I served also as chair of COG, is that I will continue to serve the Kenyan people in the best way that I can. And when the time comes, then we will say what that is.
You are somebody that says most of the time you listen to the ground, especially when you are heading to the 2022 elections. What is the ground saying right now?
The ground is saying that we need to deliver. Okay. Yeah, that is what the ground is saying. The ground is saying less noise, less politics, and work. Okay. They want all the promises that we made, whether at county level or at national level, they want the promises met. If we said that we're building roads, they want to see the roads. If we said that we're going to improve the economy, they want to see an improved economy. That is what the ground is saying right now.
Your message to the people of Kenya and the people of Kirinyaga as we celebrate Christmas and also the New Year 2025, what should they be looking forward to?
My message to everybody is here we are. It's the end of 2024. We thank God for having given us the opportunity to be alive and to be part of this country. And I want to wish the people of Kenya and the people of Kirinyaga in particular a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and ask them to be hopeful. We must look forward with hope that 2025 will be a better year than 2024 was.
Right, thank you so much, Governor Anne Waiguru, much appreciated, and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to you too.
Thank you, Brian, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you as well.